You want to put that on? Just press the red button there. Yeah, great.
Good. Good morning, Vavli. I tend to forget a little bit because I used to be here in studio
Yeah.
and a couple of years ago, and you have a beautiful studio now. So when I actually arrived, I went to the old studio and thinking, but this is a beautiful place. Thank you. I miss being in studio.
Yeah, you used
actually.
to do the Prince Tambah infrastructure platform show. It was a show squarely discussing, infrastructure, giving your background as a seasoned and a serious engineer. Do you miss, the conversation on the radio in that form and manner?
Yeah, since I suspended my show, I do actually miss being in radio, and I where you said and I suspended the show about 3 4 years ago, and you know this was the only show that was void of political discussions. The Prince Tambah infrastructure platform delves purely on infrastructure development of all of our vertical structures, horizontal structures, and in fact, interestingly, my students, because I teach engineering courses at Stella Maris Polytechnic, and my students will say, "Oh, Mr. Tamba, you gave us this assignment, but we listen to your radio, and you already give us the answer."
So they were religious listeners.
Of course, and I, in the corridors, sometimes I go to supermarkets, I go places. Oh, are you Mr. Tamba? Why are you not presenting the show anymore? And so I actually miss being in the studio.
So what was the goal of that show?
It was actually to give awareness to people and call our government into the priorities of things as far as it comes to infrastructure development and discussing how we can fund our infrastructure. Where were we on infrastructure? What are the practical and what are the, I want to say industrial practice in terms of funding infrastructure, in terms of monitoring and supervising infrastructure, developing infrastructure, what are those low-hanging fruits? So I'm now I'm in a very particular place.
Yeah, but before taking up a public office, you worked at the African Development Bank. You want to remind us about maybe a brief about your professional
now of course now I work for government, purely for government, and yes, I did work for the African Development Bank. I was very first of all, let me I want to say that I want to say thanks to the President of the Republic of Liberia, His Excellency Joseph Numa Boakai, for his preferment that I serve his administration. It's purely a privilege to serve the Liberian people and to serve in his administration as Deputy Minister for Technical Services at the Ministry of Public Works. Yeah, so prior to this, I work with the African Development Bank as a transport specialist, responsible for Liberia, the Gambia, and lately also Sierra Leone. So, I come with...
you have masters in engineering or that. I was doing a little bit of research on you. Excuse me for my inquisitive.
No, I think RENA is not the aspect of credentials. It's the aspect of implementation. We have to implement.
I follow your confirmation hearing at the Senate, Minister Tambah. Your the Ministry of Public Works confirmation hearings, all of you, whether it's the minister, deputies, and assistants, it was something that the public looked up to, even the senators, and particularly the senators, particularly Senator McGill. He asked you a particular question. At the time, the past government asked you to come and serve. He asked you that question, but you declined to answer that question.
Yeah, I think the senator wanted to embarrass me. So yes, it is true that the previous regime had asked me to serve at the Ministry of Public Works, and I thought it was not the right time for me because if you're a believer like me, in Ecclesiastes chapter 3 verse 1 says, To everything there is a season and a time to every purpose under the heavens.
Mm-hmm.
So and at that time I was implementing, we're designing projects at the African Development Bank. We had just we were in the middle of designing the Sanikole Locato
Road.
project. We were also anticipating on phase 3 of the Mano River Union Road Development Transport Facilitation Program. There was a whole lot of things going on with me, and I felt obligated with the African Development Bank to remain and be able to. Of course, it's the same country.
Mm-hmm.
I was
Mm-hmm.
producing for the country,
Mm-hmm.
so I felt that I was also already contributing for the country,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't think I wanted to leave at that
Okay.
point. Of course, with family consultations,
Okay.
and but I didn't want to go into all the explanation with the senator and other things, but
Yeah.
I did appreciate at the time that I was contacted and offered to serve at Public Works at the time, but
Mm.
it was just not the right time for me.
Yeah. During the confirmation hearing, one of the key takeaways for me was the issue of decentralization of the public works ministry activities, the system, and all that. You want to re-emphasize on that? What exactly were you talking about?
Mr. Kamara, when I got to, I was so nervous, when I got to the confirmation hearing, because of course this was my first time, and I had prepared for like 30 minutes or 45 minutes of presentation. I prepared my script, and then when I got there, and then the chairman said, "You have 10 minutes, to
Mm.
present," and I said, "Wow!" So within myself, I just said, "Look, I would just lecture these people. I would just talk and just forget about my script that I had prepared." So I just started talking, explaining what I think. Of course, you remember, I've been engaging with public works for 11 years,
Mhm.
and been involved in donor funded project. Of course, the African Development Bank being a major player there. Today, they have almost more than 300 million United States dollars in infrastructure, road development at the African Development Bank since 2012.
Mm.
So, I presented my vision in connection with what the minister had already indicated. The minister went for confirmation before me,
Yeah, yeah.
and of course, I'm very much in line with the minister's vision for the ministry, and so I was just elaborating on the same things that the minister have spoken about. One was sustaining our current network. Our network is small, 13,000 kilometers of roads, and maintaining that, expanding on the network that we have, and also decentralizing, which you're talking about. We don't think we can sit in Morovia and say we want to maintain roads in Lofa, as a Ministry of Public Works. We need to decentralize our activities like every other ministry. I know the Ministry of Transport is also decentralizing certain part of their activities. And so, and that's what I was talking about. Mobilize equipment in all of these counties, even if we start by hubs. And so, like periodic maintenance, routine maintenance. We don't have to be mobilizing people from public works here at
So there should
headquarters
be people
from
already
Morovia,
there.
already there that can handle the situation. So that's what I was trying to talk about when I talk about decentralization in connection with our local government act as well.
Yeah. So, Mr. Tama, do you have an idea about the status of Liberia's infrastructure, our road network? Do you come to the table understanding with our potentials where they are, our challenges where they are, and tying that into the national development plan for infrastructure and road development as part of the arrest agenda of the national government? Do you understand the enormity of the challenges and the potentials that we have here?
Ms. Kumara, yes, I do. After working for the African Development Bank for the past 11 plus years, purely on road projects in Liberia, and I work extensively with Ministry of Public Works and developing project appraisal reports and looking at the constraint analysis in our country. I do. I like to reference a road infantry survey that was conducted by the Ministry of Public Works back in 2019 that indicated that we have 13,000 kilometers of roads in our country,
Mm-hmm.
and of course, which is less than every other MRU member countries we have around us. And out of this 13,000, we just had about 6% that was paved. 6%.
Mm.
And that's very low, you know. So we have a lot of challenges. Only 6% of those roads paved, which means we have 96% of our network that was unpaved.
Mm.
And particularly 18% of this network are primary roads. These
Mm.
are roads that connect our county capitals to major urban areas. Okay, and it will interest you that out of this 18% of our roads, only 23% of that 18% are also paved
Mm.
of the primary roads. Okay, and of course we there's need for us to also carry out the survey, and of course during this administration we make sure we carry out another survey, because this is something we have to
They will
carry out every
inform your
5 years
decision.
to, yeah, to inform subsequent decisions. And out of this 23%, of course, 77% is already on paved on our primary roads, and out
Mm.
of this 23% that are paved, we have 36% that are in good condition.
Mm.
Only 36% in good condition, and about 52% in fair or bad condition, and about 12% in excellent condition. So we have a whole lot
I
of.
mean, when you say fair, excellent, I mean, I know you so open with the engineering technologies, but when you say fair, excellent, and moderate, what are you talking about?
No, I don't talk about anything about moderate. I said I talk about in good condition. I
Okay,
talk about in fair and bad condition,
okay,
and I talk about in excellent condition.
okay,
Let's look at the road from Monrovia all the way to Banga to Ganta.
okay,
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 these are roads in excellent condition.
okay.
Okay,
Because it's
even
paved.
of course these are, of course, these roads are now due for resurfacing,
Okay.
and that's why. And these are roads funded by multilateral institutions. They are now due. Of course, they've been upgraded since about 10 years ago now.
Mm.
So they're due for upgrading,
Mhm.
and because our road asset itself worth about 1.6 billion. All of our roads that are paved in the country, quantified 1.6 billion. This is an asset that we don't want it to depreciate. And that's why this administration, we want to increase on this asset, not depreciate on these assets.
Mm.
Okay.
Mm.
So, I have a fair knowledge on just to answer your question directly.
Yeah.
Yes, I do have a fair knowledge. And that's why the president, in his wisdom, decided to bring me as part of his team,
Yeah.
as deputy minister for technical services.
Deputy Minister Tambah, let's look at roads that have direct economic gains. It is we wouldn't do justice to the conversation if we discuss roads holistically and don't place premium on roads that have direct economic impact. What are those roads?
We have a lot of engineers in the country. That's brilliant engineers that may have a different perspective than what I think.
Mhm.
What I do think that we have to focus on regional roads. Regional roads have the highest potential in terms of trading with our neighbors, in terms of you know um, social integration of our population. So we will focus on this administration, along with, of course, the directive of the minister, to focus on regional roads. Regional roads, I mean, roads that connect other member countries
Mhm.
for trading purposes. Look, we have our young, our mothers, our sisters, trading among these countries. Of
Mhm.
course, that's a huge potential
What
in
is
terms of
Guinea or
economic
Sierra
gain.
Leone or Africa Coast?
Yes, yes, yes. Look at the road from Simple Bridge all the way to Bowater side. Okay, of course, that road we need to improve on that. That road have uplive its useful life. That's a lot of things we need to do on that. We need to widen the road. We need to make sure that it's sustainable over time. The patching part of that road is no longer sustainable, but the asphalt has failed. Then look at Coca-Cola factory all the way to Ganta and Guinea border. this is a major road, and this was a major achievement during the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf administration. By the way, I think is boosting economic activities. That's why you say sometimes people ask, "What's the second busiest city?" They say Ganta, right? Of course, it's primarily because of the roads. Primarily because of the roads, they connect Guinea and a lot of trading going on, and that's why we also going to focus on from Banga to Salaye to Vanjama to Menikoma, connecting Sierra Leone, connecting Guinea to through the Nyanga River, and these are economic potential roads. Okay, trade facilitation we have to increase. The World Bank recently approved the road from Toastown, I think, yeah, from Toastown all the way to Dredjo, but connecting with a major border with Cote d'Ivoire.
Yeah.
And the African Development Bank is also doing from Sanikole to Lokato that connects with Cote d'Ivoire as well. So for me, I think connecting these regional roads, okay, makes a better sense for us, actually.
But then those who farm will say, okay, what about farm to market roads?
Of course, we're not discounting farm to market roads. At the Ministry of Public, as part of the handover notes, we read that about more than 2,000 kilometers of roads have been supported by the Swedish government. Thanks to them. The only thing we have to do is to put in place a little bit of sustainability in terms of how we do those roads. The fact that we just do the gravel roads, we resurface, we re-gravel the road, and when breeze blows, it blows out the aggregates, and when it rains, 10 to 20% of the aggregates is lost, and then we have to request for maintenance, maintaining these roads every year. We need to spend a little bit more to make the road more sustainable, between at least that can last between 4 to 5 years. Not every year we have to come and do it. And this is something I mentioned during my confirmation hearing. If we have alternative COs, we have this CO that makes it's a product that is mixed with gravel, and when you use that, it's called Pure Creek. It's a product that comes, I think, is it Brazil or somewhere? We have to research a little bit about it. But we've seen other countries use it, and they keep the road pliable without loss of aggregates, loss for at least 4 or 5 years.
It's a mineral by itself.
Raw mineral. It's an additive. It adds into the gravel, and it forms a bond that hardens the gravel and makes the road pliable for the next 4 or 5 years, that you don't have to continue to do interventions on those roads. So if we can put that in place, our public works now, the minister is in place, the 3 deputies were also in place, 7 assistant ministers were also in place. So there are a lot of consultations going on at ministry now. And these are some of the things, innovative ideas that we're going to bring to the table to make sure that, over time, we sustain our network.
Okay, so let's stay at the ministry, for example. What are the contracts inherited?
Well, Vavle, 85% of the resources that come into public works has been from the road fund. I think just about 15% that comes from the national budget. And I will tell you that we've inherited about 76 contracts.
76 contracts.
About 76 contracts that are coming from road fund, and amounting from 2018 to 2023, and are amounting about 123 million. And out of this 123 million, the past regime, of course, government is continuity. The past regime actually paid on this contract just about 56 million was paid. So we inheriting the rest of the 46 million we inheriting, and these are ongoing contracts.
Of the 70, is that how many contracts?
76 contracts.
Of the 76
civil works contracts that has to do with rehabilitation, maintenance, street lights projects, culverts, bridges. 76 contracts.
And these are projects yet completed, right?
These are ongoing projects.
Okay.
Yes, 76 of them. and the total about 123 million. Okay, they completed some of the contracts, and I'm not counting this. I'm counting projects that are currently ongoing. These are live contracts that
Mm-hmm.
we are inheriting
Mm-hmm.
as a new administration, and out of those contracts, 56 million of the 23 million was paid as part of works executed.
Okay.
Okay. So remaining works that now this administration have to take on and execute and pay the contractors is what I'm talking about. It's what we are inheriting. And that's 46% of that 123 million.
Mm.
So it is huge. Of course, as a new administration, we also have our own projects that we want to come up with. And Vavle, sometimes last week, someone, our director for communication, came to my office and said, Minister, you need to react to OKFM. The Minister of Public Works, Honorable Gaydens, mentioned something that no new projects will be executed in 2024, that will focus on all of the old projects that we're inheriting. And of course, you as a technical person, they want to talk to you. And then I mentioned, look, my first appearance on radio, I rather do it at LBS. And that's why I'm here.
Okay.
And of course, the director contacted you, and it was confirmed
Yep.
that I come and also be able to speak on this. Not that I don't want to be on other radios, but I just thought it's appropriate to come on LBS.
It's
of
a
course.
national duty.
Yeah, of course. So, so this is the problem. This is what we have. We have our own agenda. You have the arrest agenda. That also talks about road development. Huge on the president's agenda. So we have to manage those contracts. We have to look at the engineering part of those contracts, the physical implementation of those contracts, the financial progress, whether it matches with the physical implementation. We have to look at them. We have to look at the terms of those contracts. So there's a whole lot of things we have to look at, and also see which one of those contracts we can feed into our work program for 2024.
Are you having that discussion? But are you going to introduce new contracts added to the already unfinished contracts you have, or existing contracts you have?
Well, look, this we part of the president's campaign also is roads. We also have to be cognizant of that. Government is continuity, and this existing contract, these are good projects. In my view,
you want to remind us about where these places these contracts
are? Some of these projects we have, like from the Freeport all the way to St. Paul Bridge.
Okay, that's Moserado. So, for example, Moserado County has how many contracts? Existing
contracts? From the last administration,
yeah.
Out of this 56 contracts that I mentioned, about 31 of those contracts are in Moserado. 31 of those contracts are in Moserado. We have a spread among the other counties, like Nimba, like Grangide, like Lofa, like Bone, also contributing to those contracts. And you remember, I think there's talks that are going on within the legislature that they want to make sure that the road fund is appropriately distributed among the counties. And of course, that's something that we have to look into. Currently, River G, for instance, have no contract from the road fund.
So if you were to introduce a contract under the arrest agenda, you will consider River G highly. Moserado that has already 31.
Well, look, we have to look at the existing contract and work with them as much as possible. The ministry, we also trying to focus on bridges as much as possible. Bridge infantry, work on those bridges. We have about 13 contracts and bridges that are very important. We have 3 critical bridges. If we do not, as soon as possible, have an intervention, we have a tragedy. So we also have to look at this. Yes, but Moserado have about 27 million of this, of what we're inheriting is in Moserado. Okay, 31 of those contracts are in Maserado. So we are not looking at developing new contracts in Maserado. That I can tell you is to implement the contract that we inheriting
And complete them.
and complete them. And also, of course, it's not going to be just in 2024. It's in the life of the administration, and also make sure that other contracts, other counties can also benefit from what the country is also having in terms of the road fund. And that's why we have to look at this. When I spoke to the legislature, when I spoke to the Senate during my confirmation, we need 33 million in terms of road maintenance, rehabilitation, road maintenance. So if we appropriate,
33 million for road maintenance
only road maintenance,
not doing new roads.
No. If we appropriate about, of course, just bear in mind that this 76 contracts I talk about is exclusive of donor-funded interventions. Okay?
Okay.
Yeah. So
this is squarely government of Liberia funded projects.
Yes, purely the 85% of the road fund accounts that is implemented by public works, and some part of the 15% that comes to what the government put in. And that's why we need more budgetary allocation. So when we talk about contracts, new contracts.
Yeah, but talking about, we'll come to the new contract, but talking about budgetary allocation, there's this, it's almost like a cultural inconsistency in the budgetary allotment of, for example, the Ministry of Public Works. Does that impede some of the projects you want to do, some of the contracts you want to take?
Yeah, of course. In my view, I think we have to have a rolling program that runs 5, 6 years or 10 years, as a country. This appropriation every year. I know the last highest contribution to public works, I think it was in 2015, about 60.
The highest budgetary allotment.
Yeah. So on average, the public has been receiving about 42 million. Spread among.
I think this different in the budget, it should be a little over 30.
Yeah.
33 or
right now, I think it's about 35 million.
Yeah. And, in the 30s.
Yes. So I think about 23 or so more. Of course, we're pushing up to 33 million. Should be coming from the road fund. There's potential of collecting up to 33 million from the road funds, by the way. So, since 2016, when the road fund started in operation, the government now have relied purely on road fund and to be able to fund our projects. And I think the government also needs to contribute as part of our capital budget to put some money into road. And that's why I mentioned to the senators that if we spend 123 million every year for the next 10 years, we will solve all of the bottlenecks that we have in road maintenance and also rehabilitate most of our county capitals, road connecting our county capitals. And this is doable. This is just a political will that we need. And of course, if we reform part of our extractive industry, the governance of our extractive industry, to make sure they also contribute into our infrastructure agenda, infrastructure development, and looking at also bringing alternative ways of collecting resources like toll. Of course, this is what we're going to push for. The RIA road is going to be towed once completed. We miss a major opportunity to have towed the road from Morovia all the way to Ganta. Okay. And I think that's something we have to do in this administration. Okay. Let people pay for the road. The road is an asset. Okay, it's an asset that we have to maintain.
So the road should pay for itself.
Of course, we have to do that.
Let's come back to the decision-making process of either implementing new projects or completing projects inherited.
Well, this is what OKFM wanted to talk to me about, and you're asking the same question. Okay, good. Yeah. Look, in the wisdom of the minister, Minister Gaydens, is that we focus on existing projects that we inheriting.
Complete them first,
and complete them. Of course, of course, from the technical side, I think we need a little more time to look at how those roads were engineered, what led into prioritizing those roads. What are the economic benefits of those roads that were prioritized? What are the social integration significance? What are these roads contribute to our economic rate of returns, our financial rate of returns? We look at them. We're not saying these contracts are not legitimate contracts. We're not saying they are not worth of continuing. Of course they are worth, but we just want to look at the engineering part of those contracts. Okay. And then of course, this is a new government. We also have priorities.
Mm-hmm.
And like I'm saying, we have to infuse some bridges in there.
So the fear here for you, Minister Tambah, is implementing projects that do not tie into the arrest agenda. Is this what you're trying to avoid?
Look, when you do road for everybody. You don't do road for one person. Road connects.
But you want to do roads in the interest of the national development plan.
Yes, roads in the interest. This arrest agenda. Roads should be connecting with other various parts of the agenda, like tourism. We should have roads connecting to major touristic areas.
Mm-hmm.
We should have roads connecting to to agriculture sites,
Mm-hmm.
farm roads to enable agriculture, to make sure that we don't have farm produce being perished while they've been transported to market. We have to connect roads to medical facilities. We have to connect roads to schools. So we have to look at that. If this existing contracts are contributing to that, of course, yes, we support it.
So are you in the process of reviewing that?
Of course, we're reviewing this contract before we make them, before we form them part of our 2024 program. But look, I was talking earlier about our plan. We need like a 5-year plan where that is consistently providing budgetary allocation consistently within the 5 years. That will help us with better planning. That will help us come up with bigger projects. Let's say today the legislature say, public works for the next 5 years will give you 123 million continuously without no political discussions around this. And then that'll help us to come up with big projects that will actually change the landscape of how we implement projects in Liberia. And that's something that's we can that's up for discussion.
So we have to be intentional about allocating
very intentional.
Has the Ministry of Public Works awarded any contracts, new contracts?
Well, we have of course, everybody think the 100 days deliverable
as part of that,
as indicated by His Excellency. It's just Public Works. We have carried out advanced procurement for major corridors that are affected.
You want to name them?
Well, we a part of the advanced contracting, because look, Vavle, anyone who thinks that we should wait for the national budget to pass before we implement the 100 days, they don't mean well for this country.
But the budget is the source of the funding.
I understand. That's why we carried out advanced procurement. So by the time the budget passes, we are ready to roll out, because we will have done all of the procurement processes, all of the technical part, all of the procurement process. We have contractors waiting. And look, budget can always be, we can always see budgets ahead of things. And so we went ahead, tried to structure about 12 contracts with 12. About 9 contractors. And out of those 9 contractors, we have about 6 of them are national Liberian contractors and 3 international contractors, if you consider one of the contractors to be of course a national international contractor. So we have them, and out of this 12 contracts, we already have about 9 of them already mobilized on the site in good faith. They've mobilized. They started working, started clearing to make sure that, and that's what I said. This is in good faith. They've not been paid. Okay, this is in good faith. These are Liberian contractors. They mean well for this country. They respect the agenda of the president. They mobilize their equipment on site, and they started doing some clearing. They started making sure that no car gets stuck. And this is in good faith. Of course, the budget is still in discussion. We have only carried out advanced contracting with the approval of PPCC, with the approval budgetary confirmation from the Ministry of Finance, and that's what we've done. And in good faith, the contractors have mobilized on site, and this is for the benefit of the Liberian people. I don't think we should put politics into this.
Is this the reason why we're seeing fleet of equipment, road machines, pictorials of them in Lofa, for example. Is that part of the reason why we're seeing this
Yeah,
equipment
yeah.
being
So
dispatched?
in Lofa, we had an advanced contracting from Salaye to Vanjama. We have advanced contracting from Vanjama to Menekoma. Okay. On
Mm,
the southeast, we have advanced contracting from Tapeta to Town to Zureju. Okay.
mm,
We from Zureju all the way to Kawiken, we have advanced contracting. We've also done similar from Plibo to Barclayville. Okay. A Grand Crew. Okay.
mm,
We've also done that from Greenville all the way to ITI, from ITI to Sestos Junction, from Sestos Junction all the way to Buchanan. We've done that. We've also done advanced contracting from Broadville all the way to Bapolo. So look, this is in good faith. This is for the benefit of the Liberian people to make sure that this coming rainy season we don't have cars getting stuck as it's been for many years.
mm.
This is look, anyone, like I mentioned earlier, anyone who against this kind of development, they are witchcraft.
I don't know who you want to mention, but I know one senator is I mean alleged claim that the Ministry of Public Works, give contracts out to people with no budget and all that. But we'll come to the plans for 2024 for the Ministry of Public Works. This RRA road, do you have
Mm.
concerns?
Yeah, the RI road is one of the roads that one of the only roads I've seen in the country that the contractor goes out and source financing and bring it and use that financing to implement the road. I've not seen any other
And
contractor.
that's East International.
That's East International. Of course, the entire projects, structuring of the projects that emanated from the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf administration, that which had a different priority altogether, which this was to do city roads, and also came during the CDC administration. They converted this arrangement, which was about 87 million, converted that into the RIA for about 160 million.
Mhm.
So this is why we it's part of what we're inheriting. This road is about 32% in terms of physical progress at right now.
Mhm.
So I think subsequently we're gonna usher in some technical audits on whether what was designed is what has been implemented. I've
Mhm.
been on this road almost every weekend.
Mhm.
I inspect the various technical parts. They currently doing laying the base course material on the second layer of the base course material. I was there on Saturday
Mhm.
reviewing quality controls and on the road. So in my view, this is a project that should have been done many years ago as a country. In few months, we'll be 177 years old. This is a major road that connects our major airports to the capital city.
Mm.
This should have been done long ago. And so the implementation part, we're encouraging change of behavior from the contractor. We're working with them to make sure that we encourage them to continue sourcing financing and bringing it into the country for us to do the right thing.
Mhm.
Okay, so we are moving on doing the right thing. That's what we're doing now. 32% physical implementation. Some money has been expended on this road. Probably around 50 million has been expended on this road, about around approximately around those ballpark. And in this, since we've been this administration of public works, we've reviewed the contract, we've reviewed the design, and I can tell you there are major changes that we've made in the design in the interest of the Liberian people in terms of road safety as well.
Good. Any plans for this runabout at ERWA Junction?
The roundabout is being constructed. We need to educate people how to use a roundabout, and the
Will there be a
jingles. The
specific
jingles.
design there? Like,
Of course, it's already been designed. It's already been constructed. There are jingles on the radio on how people use a roundabout in terms of mobility. So
okay.
that is there, and we're connecting this project. This project is part of a World Bank project that goes about 6.5 kilometers that goes to connect into Coca-Cola factory
Mm.
there, and then this connecting with the RIA project. Unfortunately, our Liberian people are putting too much garbages into our drainage system, and if we do not stop this, it will affect. It has a huge potential of
Yes, because we
flooding.
don't have a waste management regime, a proper waste management regime. I mean, people take people take the garbage and just we should. I think we should have a law on the book for people who just put garbage anywhere. They catch you, they just deal with you. You know, even if it is a biddable offense, but
You
there should
know,
be a law. Yeah.
Vable, we can blame our people for dumping these things. We also have to take responsibility as a government to make sure that we provide those enabling environments, the environment where we can put these dumpsters at
Mm.
major locations,
Hmm.
telling you that come and dump your dirt here. Don't put it in the drainage system. Okay, they try to hide it by putting it in the drainage system, which is not good for us because when the rain comes, of course, we're cleaning some dirt, but the rain will come and wash it away. So we have to take responsibility to make sure that
Yeah, lovely. This is Brown Tate from Monrovia.
Yeah, let me hear you, Mr. Tati.
Yeah, I was listening to the deputy for technical affairs. Let me thank you so much the way they are designing the bar roads and the work that they will do. But one thing I experienced probably before now, most of the people they get a contractor. You know, gravel road when you grade it, you build it from the gutter. You clean the gutter and bring the dirt on the road itself, and then the compartment, the compactor will compact them, so that even when it's raining, the water will drop and go straight in the gutter and travel and go outlet. But these people who from the sophisticated country who already have payroll all over, they don't understand they tell what country building road. So they will just clean the center of the road and block all the gutter. By the time it rains, you see, we like from the top, you see water will set on the middle of the road.
Okay.
I mean, drainages and things, they're supposed to clean them up. The day that they will carry, they will block all of them. So I think he himself supposed to be on the field.
Okay.
People, they will get contract to be behind them for the post.
Okay.
I mean, help for laboring engineering to be employed along with no contractor, so that at least they can do work for the third world country, then the developed country.
Okay. Thank you very much. Let's hear from this person. Morning.
Good morning, people of Vable, and good morning to the Deputy Minister in studio, Honorable Tambah.
Yeah, go ahead. Quickly, what's the name?
This is LSS Kuna, the chairperson for the intellectual class of Painesville. Honorable Minister, thank you for your deliberation. I will hold you high esteem with know what you're capable of doing. But I got something I want you to address in terms of the President 100-day deliverable. They talk about no car will stick in making more on major highways. I want to know what is the Ministry of Public Works plan when it comes to the route reverses to Sano to Grand Cru. They are planning from Nema to Grand G, River G, and the next thing bombing to Babolu and reverses. In between there, people always find it difficult to make their way through during the rainy season. The fact that we are already in the rainy season, I want to know your plan because we're already in the rainy season. Okay. Thank you very much and serve with dignity. Thank you
very much. You can take a call and go back to Minister Tambah. Good morning.
Good morning, Vassler.
Good morning. What's the name?
My name is Augustine Kuri, calling from the Omega community in Painesville.
Yeah, let's hear you, sir.
Okay, I just want to commend Minister Tambah for his deliberation. I think he's actually on top of the issues. I just have maybe two quick questions for him. Number one is from technical standpoint. These roads, especially the roads, the county roads. I'm not talking about the RIA1, but the ones in the county, like the local one, the Grand Gidesai and the Kaweka in River G. I mean, now that they are working on these roads and they are just lateral, so how long can these roads serve the populations in these locations? I mean, I just want to know that. And then secondly, what is the Ministry of Public Works doing? Because it's raising concern about the drainages. What is the Ministry of Public Works doing, working in collaboration with the different city councils, including the Monrovia City Council, to provide the alternatives for waste disposal? Because when you are telling somebody do not dump here, when you dump here, you will be punished. I think there should be the alternative where they can appropriately dump. Then we can enforce the law, against careless disposal.
Yeah. Thank you. Let's take this last caller. Morning. Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Vable, gentlemen.
Yeah, good morning. What's the name?
I'm Claudius, and I join you from the city of Painesville.
Yeah.
Good morning to the guesting studio, Honorable Prince D. Tambah. Here is one of the young men that many of us who have been seen as a role model, and it's gladdening our heart to see him at the level of the Ministry of Public Works as Deputy Minister for Technical Services. So we want to inform or we want to encourage all other ministers, especially the Minister of Public Works, to see Mr. Tambah as an asset. And then he brings so much to the table, and if working together collaboratively, we believe that the president agenda through the rural aspect in this country, like he has said, rural. We believe that with the workings of Mr. Tambah Mr. Gillings, and the rest of the ministers and directors at the Ministry of Public Works, the president agenda
Okay.
will be achieved. So
Thank
I want
you.
to say thanks to Mr. Tambah, and we trust your ability.
Thank you very much, Minister. You listen to the callers. You can just respond to some of the concerns, the pertinent ones.
Yeah, well, thank you to all of our callers there. Of course, let me say thank you for some of those who have expressed their confidence in what we bring to the ministry, and of course to the development of our infrastructure agenda in the country. So I think your first caller was trying to talk about, this normal politics about the minister not being an engineer, and then it was cut off. I don't think, these are the kind of conversation we want to. I think it's about time for us to implement. And that's why when you started talking about credentials, and I didn't want to go into that because the Liberian people now looking forward to us implementing. Okay, the president's agenda. So this part of how many degrees you have, and I think it comes. We should be talking about experience and what you bring to the table. It's not all these degrees that will flatter around. So one of the caller talk about recommending whether we stop plastic and the plastic in our country. I subscribe to that too. I think in the next few years, if we don't handle this situation, we will be harvesting our cassava. We'll see plastic inside. Okay, so we don't want to be cooking our potato and see plastic in the potato, and so we have to stop this. We have to find a way on how we reduce or eliminate the use of plastic totally in our country. And of course, that comes with some level of political will on this. And one of the caller talk about our target. What's our target in this administration? Of course, we, like I mentioned earlier, government is continuity. We inheriting some contracts. We also have to look into them. One of the things we want to heavily be involved with is the construction of bridges, because verbally, we have some community. If you just construct a simple 150-meter bridge for them, it changed the dynamic of how the people live. Okay, as opposed to them going about 75 kilometers, they'll only go about 30 kilometers. Okay, that change of the X kilometers changes their life, and so we are going to be focusing on construction of bridges and making sure that all of our bridges are also maintained, and mobilizing resources to expand and continue the gains that we already have in roads, to expand on as not only sustaining our network but also improving and maintaining the current network.
Somebody
that
was
we
talking
have.
about the roads, the bombing, Bapolu, and all the places.
Yeah, but this gentleman are talking about also talk about a dry port. This dry port is not a new concept. It's a concept that been developed probably some 12 years almost ago, and this is something that has to be developed. It has to be engineered. It has to be looked into, because for us as road people, it's better for us to do those dry ports that reduces the axle loadings on our road. So we have to do that. I know we're quite catching up with time.
Yeah.
And in terms of all of these road contracts that we have, I mentioned that we already have contracts from Broadway all the way to Bapolu. Okay, and so supervision is key. We have to make sure that public work beep off its supervision of all of these interventions that we have. On 100 days, I think I've already spoken on the 100 days. We've done advanced procurement. We have contractors who have mobilized on the site on good faith. Some of them almost, most of them have already mobilized on the site, and they're beginning to do some work already. So I need to mention this. Someone talk about, how sustainable this intervention will be. There's some areas that we're doing a 1-year contract. There's some areas we're doing a 2-year contract. The 1-year contract, these are for corridors that we already have financing available. Let's say, for instance, from Town all the way to Zredu, from Zredu all the way to Kawiken. We have money available from the World Bank and the African Development Bank. These areas we do a 1-year contract only, because we intend to have the actual construction of the works done.
Mr. Tambah, we have to go, but let's find another time, part 2 of this.
Yeah.
But thank you very much for being on the show this morning.
Thank you very much, Vavli. Thank you for your time, and it will always be a pleasure to be here.
Yep.
And we can discuss public in 1 hour.
Yeah,
there's a whole lot of things to talk about.
Thank you very much. He's the Deputy Public Works Minister for Technical Services, Prince Tambah. He's been my guest. Join me tomorrow for another presentation of the SMS. But keep listening to ELBC.